Hallelujah, hallelujah. Giving all glory and all praise to the Most High. Welcome to Sit There Leon podcast. Back again, hallelujah. And today we have another segment of marriage and relationships hosted by Ray Will, Elder Will, House of Israel, 1664 California Avenue. And we're going to go ahead and go right in on our subject today, marriage and relationships. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, I'm feeling. Trust to believe I'm feeling, and that's a good thing though, because if we weren't feeling, that means we probably ain't around.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a blessing to be able to feel now. But we're gonna see how people feel about this topic for today, because we're gonna talk about a few different things that men and women should be able to acknowledge in any relationship, especially if they've been involved for, let's say, over 6 months. It can be even under 6 months, but let's talk about some things here, chop it up for a while. Let's start out by talking about some things that, matter of fact, let's start with a few reasons why you think a lot. I won't say all ladies, I won't say all women won't accept responsibility, but however, I will say that it is my belief that in this country, the vast majority of women do not like to be held accountable. And I'm quite certain that the vast majority of guys that's dealing with women would agree to that statement. So let's talk about a few reasons, and then let me get some feedback from you on what your thoughts are. Then I'll give you some of my thoughts. 5 reasons that the vast majority of women in this country refuse to accept accountability. Reason one, I'll say, is because of society.
Yeah.
Because of society. And then what I did is I also searched online just to see if the things that I'm saying is accurate from a preponderance of evidence, because that's the way that we were taught even when it's talking about scriptures. We got to get a preponderance of, there you go, get a preponderance of evidence, and see if all that evidence is consistent from all different sources. So society and social conditioning. Women today are rewarded for bad behavior.
Yes.
The court systems even reward women for their bad behavior. For example, you can have a woman who get upset with a guy because he want to break up with her because, say, he found her cheating on him, but they got a child together. So she gets so upset, she want to take him to court and put him on child support or something. And the court is designed to where this man is going to pay some child support. And if he's got a good job, she going to make sure she gets the max up out of it. And a lot of times when situations, like they like to call them situationships or whatever, when anything other than a marriage, when things just go awry, a lot of times a guy should be fearful. And I believe that's one of the reasons today that marriages are not being put in place by guys, because they feel like they've got a whole lot to lose. And to be honest with you, I'm starting to see it even more and more, even though I do promote marriage, because I know that's what the Almighty wants.
For sure.
It shouldn't be any whores or whoremongers. Shouldn't be any of that. But we got a lot of people who think that it's okay to just show a lot of skin and advertise, and like you're not supposed to be able, according to the woman anyway. And even in some cases of marriage, you shouldn't be able to tell her how she should or shouldn't dress. So what's your thoughts on some of what I just said?
Yeah. So the first thing you had mentioned was lack of accountability. A lot of that stems from insecurity, fear of failure, fear of being judged. A lot of people fear having that spotlight on them, fear looking inadequate. Um, and Almighty tells us that humility is before honor. He tells us that the integrity of the upright shall preserve them. So everything we do got to be based on, can we look in the mirror and see our own faults and flaws in a situation? And if we can't do that, then we're the problem. Um, So that's a lot. That's really what's going on with a lot of the women. They don't want to give up power either to the man, um, and admit that he would be, admit that he's right. A lot of that is power dynamics and power plays. Um, so that's one thing. The best thing for men to do to avoid that is to try to vet that early. See if the person can be held accountable for their actions. See if they are a woman that can say that they're sorry, that can come back and clean up their mistakes, and also look for the changes. Look for the changes in the woman. See if she's about making positive changes in her life. She's changing her lifestyle, her eating, her attitude, her energy. For the better. Is she really seeking the Most High's face? So that can be the first thing that you can start to do out here in the dating process, is to try to vet those qualities as early as possible. As far as the advertising, women advertising themselves, I mean, women know what they do. You know what I'm saying? Women can be very seductive, and that's their way of um, gaining attention from other men, that are they well, most men don't always look at the outward appearance of a woman anyway. So it's their way of bringing attention to themselves. But we as men gotta still be able to see through the flesh and look at a woman's heart and spirit.
See, by men being visual, here's what I noticed. Because if a woman, even the way of makeup,
Yes, sir.
if she comes across pretty
Right.
or very attractive to the eye, then a man, the more prettier, should I say, a female is, the more this man will allow her to get away with. So even if this
Interesting.
woman is walking out of her integrity, you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Walking out of her integrity because of her looks, a man will tend to put up with a lot of things that another woman would be dismissed for. So why is that?
Yeah. Once again, I feel like men, we kind of think with our lower, our smaller head rather than our bigger head a lot of the times, and it's a test for me, Almighty. A lot of the ways that a lot of these relationships, and because you have to understand, Almighty told us to look at Abraham, our father, and Sarah, and one of the things we see about Abraham is one of the things that Almighty said about Abraham is that he's a man that will command his house. Well, a man can't command a house he has no control over if you don't have control over his woman. So it's about, to me, it's about picking the right woman that can be ruled over, that wants to be ruled over, that understands the vision, not her own personal vision and imagination, but understand that we are following Yah's vision. This ain't even the vision of myself as the man and leader of the house. This is Yah's vision, and I am the facilitator of this vision and of this path and of this walk that we're on. So when Almighty is not present, the Almighty have left that man in charge to maintain order. So that's why he picked Abraham, and Abraham wouldn't, if he's seen some of these women today, I don't think Abraham, I know for a fact, would not even consider a lot of these women. I would say 90% of the women that are out here and available, he would not even entertain marrying. Abraham seemed to be a very patient man. He had his first child at a later point of his life. So, in some situations, it's best just to wait on Yah. But to answer your question, straight from your question, we have to realize that women who know that they are beautiful, off top, they're going to be, the first thing that they're going to do is start trying to impose their will. They know they're beautiful, and they know they can have access to multiple men. They know there's multiple men out there waiting on them to go on a date with them or blah. They're going to come into every situation trying to impose their will, and you as a man have to understand what you're going to put up with and what you're not going to put up with, pretty or ugly. The rules are the same.
Again, that would definitely be the weaker man. That would be the man that we call the simp. You said something that you didn't even know I had written down. And talking about like a man not being the head of that house.
Right.
And that's the reason on that next page, you see what I had written down there? Never move in with a woman, which is what a lot of guys might do. But they don't realize if you move in with a woman, first of all, you're giving her all the power.
Exactly.
She get upset with you at any given time, especially with our black women. I'm just going to keep it real. Now, again, let me make this statement. Any woman that get upset with anything that I say has to most likely be guilty of it. If you're not guilty of it, then it should just go right over your head. And you might know somebody like that and, or whatever. But if it's not you, you have no reason to get upset, because my thing is I'm trying to get people in line or give them information that would help them get in line with what the Almighty requires. The Almighty don't require whoredom. He doesn't require whoremongers. He doesn't require a woman to allow a man just to move in with her, just to do their little fornications and stuff. That's not what's going on. But a man is supposed to have his own. Matter of fact, you said something in class that a man had to go out and get his own. So why would he move in with a woman and put her over him? Because when you're in her space, she makes the rules. He needs to be in his space, then he can govern his household. You can't govern a household that don't belong to you.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely impossible.
Yes, sir.
But a lot of guys, based on a woman's beauty, is going to fall victim to it.
Yeah.
And they'll be thinking, well, she'll change. Even a strong man, she'll change. She'll change. And that man is looking at the wrong thing. He's not looking at her from the inside out. See, a lot of times we look at somebody, but looks can be extremely deceptive.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Extremely deceptive.
Extreme.
And a woman's flattery can just warm a guy up, because some women know how to use their femininity just to get what they want, even though they might not have good intentions. See, that's different than a woman who actually has good intentions using her femininity.
You do. Okay, so how would you know? How would you be able to discern the difference between a woman that has good intentions?
You have to look at them when you're talking to them and read their energy. And the only way you're going to do that is to be able to take your time with them. You see what I'm saying? Instead of rushing to do some things that we shouldn't actually be doing at that particular time.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to a woman, she'll tell you all the things that you really need to know about her. And I'm telling you a secret, a lot of guys don't realize. Women gonna always test a man, even throughout the relationships. That's why a woman can tell her friends, her female friends, girl, I got him trained. But in actuality, and I said this before, a man should, if he's interested in this woman, he's going, especially if it's leading to a marriage, he should be able to train her in the way that she would need to be in order to be a helpmate for him.
Absolutely.
So in actuality, like you said it before, and I know you understand, she should be ready and willing to receive instruction.
That's right.
You can't help me in the way that you want to help me if that's not what I require. That's not being a benefit to me.
Sure.
You see, and like a woman, she don't have to be a man's peace. He's supposed to have peace within himself. However, she can add to his peace
Add to his peace.
by not being the type of person who refused to be submissive, always being argumentative, bringing controversy all the time. There's a difference between disagreeing and being disagreeable. You see, and a lot of times when a woman is sought after, should I say, she don't realize she's being sought after for the wrong reasons, especially if she's up in age now and she's fairly beautiful. A man would have to imagine she's most likely been with other guys,
Yeah.
right?
Easy.
So what makes him think that he's going to be the one that sticks out? Remember I said when a woman, and this is just us having a conversation, I know we have an audience and whatnot, but we're going to educate the audience. But the bottom line is, the more bodies a woman have up under her, she should realize she's become less desirable to be a man's wife. Now, I said to be a wife, not less desirable to be an option of someone that somebody can have some fun with. But that shouldn't be what she's looking for.
She should be looking to be married.
She should be looking to be married, but also the man should be looking to be married. That's the reason I tell women all the time, don't let these men fool you.
Yeah.
Women don't listen. Some women, a lot of women will tend to think that if a man keep pushing up on them, they really like him. My man might not even like that personality, but he liked the way she looked. He liked the way she shaped. He liked this. He liked that. So he wanted to experience that. I'm not justifying it. I'm trying to put women on game. Just because a man is hitting on you, don't mean that he want to be with you. Not on the long term, anyway. So we have to get wise. Too many people going to situations with an ulterior motive. And so what our responsibility is to do is to put people on game. Ain't that what young folks say? I'm not talking the whole thing now. That might be what we used to say back in the day. You know, when we tell somebody peep game. But relationships shouldn't be about a game. It shouldn't be about a game at all.
Yeah.
So first of all, we say 5 reasons that women don't accept accountability. We talked about social conditioning. Now let's talk about social media. Again, with social media, you get a huge audience because before social media, you only had access to the people in your nearby communities, in your range, in your area. But now you can post all kinds of pictures on social media and get responses from people all over the world, and so that gives a broader audience for a person to display themselves. You see, but
Which is
go ahead.
which is deceptive, because as you said, men, when you scroll on Instagram and you see a bunch of women, twerking half naked, how is men's first impression going to be of these women? For a man's first impression of you is very key, and that's why women have to understand. A man has to truly appreciate you for what you have on the inside, the quality of your spirit, the quality of your heart and mind. When a man first sees you dressed a certain way, seductively, do you think he's thinking about marrying you?
Well, let's put it this way right here for the sake of understanding. It depends on the development of a man's mind because we have a lot of people that's out here today that have, and again, most people today have a modern mindset.
Right.
And the modern mindset has been literally dummied down. It's been literally watered down because you have 50-year-old guys out here talking about how many hoes they have. And I'm just going to say it the way they say it and the things that they doing and how many they got in their rotation. I think a person at 50 years old should have been, not that, I'm justifying anybody being that way even when they're younger, but when you're 50 years old and you still talking foolishly like that,
yeah.
you see,
done
so
much growing
so
up.
again, it depends on that man's mindset and it depends on the woman's mindset. Now, here's the thing. Unless a person has matured, they're going to be weak-minded. You hear what I'm saying? Unless they've matured, unless they've grown not only outside, but grown on the inside as well. If they hadn't gotten wiser, if they hadn't been in the presence of wisdom as they've been growing up, if they hadn't been in contact
Exposed to it.
exactly, then they're going to have that same mindset. That's the reason we get people as they grow older. In some cases, they don't grow wiser. For example, at my age, and like I said, I'll be 66 next month. If you was to see a person like myself out at the club with people that are my children's age and things like that, I ain't talking about my 15 and 16-year-old. I'm talking about maybe my 35. I got 35, 37, one getting 39, getting ready to be 41, getting ready to be 44 next month. You see what I'm saying? At my age, what I look like being out at the club, holding on some keys up here, doing this shit, talking about I'm looking around, looking to see who I can pull. So again, it depends on the growth of a person, and everybody's not growing the same.
That's true.
So that mind, if that mind is still in 1980, there's the problem. If it's in 1995, 2000, 2010, that's a problem. If our mind isn't headed in the right direction to where we're trying to do that which is right in the sight of the Most High, it's a problem.
Sure.
Even for somebody who say that they're walking on that right path. If we're not putting in the work, we're lying to ourselves. The bottom line is men and women should be held accountable for the things that we do.
Period.
We have to take inventory of self. And if our life is not going in the direction in which we want, the way we want it to go, and that should be in a good direction, by the way, I shouldn't aspire just to see how many women I can get in the rotation. A woman shouldn't just aspire to want to be a stripper or go revealing herself to men or dealing with multiple men or whatnot. It shouldn't be a woman's desire just to have multiple baby fathers so she can get multiple streams of income based on the amount of babies that she had by different men. You see what I'm saying? It shouldn't be a man's desire to see how many babies he can get because he want one from this woman and this woman and that one. It shouldn't be like that at all. So if our desire isn't just to be the best version of who we are, then we should actually stay by ourselves. We shouldn't try to incorporate anybody else in that, especially as men. Because as men, we're supposed to be providers and protectors of our families. We're supposed to procreate. And that's how we get our legacy going. And at the end of our days, what's our name going to look like? Is our name going to be tainted? Or is it going to be, man, that was a really great guy.
Yeah.
He did this or she did that. Instead of, yeah, he was a whoremonger, she was a whore.
That's the standard.
That seems to be the standard for a lot of us nowadays. I mean, we don't really aspire to have a legacy that will rival our forefathers. The type of situations we create in the homes that we are creating because we're picking the wrong women. A lot of the times that we're making bad decisions as leaders of men. It's not producing the best results for our households, and that's why Black people continue to be at the bottom of the bottom. We at the bottom of the totem pole, and it's like when brothers go out here to actually try to create something, good brothers actually go out here to try to create something, we slug them with the same BS. So how can we ever come up if the power is not in the hands of y'all sons, of good men, right? But we constantly have to go through battles and arguments, and it's always the issue when we try to exercise that type of authority. How are we ever going to get up? And that's a question to the audience and right out there.
Yeah, the others could definitely chime in, but let me give you an example. A lot of times, including myself as I've been growing older, I love the fact that as I'm growing older, I'm growing actually wiser. But a lot of times we might think that we're good men, but if we're going against the Almighty's word, then we have to be honest with ourselves and say we're not as good as we thought we were.
Exactly.
If we're out of integrity. See, because we have to walk integrity with our integrity means doing the right thing. And if we're not walking that way, then we can't really claim to be a good man. And there's been a time in my life when I claim to be a good man, but when I start and that's the beauty of self-evaluation, because you discover things about yourself. And if you can be honest with yourself, then you can see where you need to make those changes. Like, for example, here, you got a whole lot of single moms, but these single moms had to have fathers for their babies, right? Now, I'm quite sure there's some guys out there who had some babies with some women who they weren't married to. But by them having a modern mindset, a lot of them most likely didn't even really understand that they were violating the Almighty's law.
Yep.
I would think the vast majority of people who are not aware of what's acceptable and what's unacceptable to the Creator, there's so many who don't have a clue. So we get caught up, like, especially those that actually know that we should not be doing this or we should not be doing that. We'll get caught up. And a lot of women may not know. But the bottom line is, what does it look like when you have a country that has more baby mothers than wives?
That's a society that's going to be easy to conquer.
When you literally have more baby mothers than you have wives, that in itself is not, I'm not accounting for maybe if a man passed away who was actually married or something. I'm not even putting that into the equation. I'm talking about when people get together, They know what they were doing. They didn't have intentions on actually having a relationship in the first place, but they just wanted to get together and bump ugly, so to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So single moms, when things go wrong, they're going to blame him or replace him or both. So why wouldn't a woman take accountability for laying with that man that she had the baby with? But she'll always say that he was a deadbeat, he was this, he was that. But you chose it.
You chose
She chose it.
knew what she did.
But then we make it. See, here's the thing. Again, they'll make excuses for the man that they chose. Instead of saying, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have never been with this man in the first place. I was out of order. Because in order for us to make changes, first of all, the first change got to be self. We have to have self-regulation. If we don't have self-regulation, then we have a problem. That means we're out of integrity. We got a lot of people who complain about other people, but are walking out of integrity. So I think we just see a whole lot today, especially with social media. And then we have the fourth thing why women don't accept accountability. It's a survival instinct. A woman don't want to look at herself like she's low value because a lot of times they make a lot of mistakes. You see what I'm saying? So she'll make the man be the low value instead of both parties being low value because both parties are out of order. You see what I'm saying? There you go. So if a man is doing some things that he ain't got no business doing, he have to acknowledge it. Man, he's not at his best. So if he want to call her low value, he's low value as well. But if she want to call him low value, she's got to be low value because she's the one who get access. Again, men give access to marriage. Women give access to who they're going to lay with. So again, because of social media and these new social norms, and because of beta males, women are not going to accept accountability, not unless it's forced. And in a lot of cases, even when it's forced, it's going to be like trying to feed a baby, and the baby's too full, it's going to come right back out.
That's right. I wanted to say something about
How you said that men give access to marriage, but women give access to their body. You know, and it's really, it seems to me today that most women would rather choose to give away their bodies than actually submit to a man of the Most High. 100%.
That's true.
You know, and I say that because first of all, the Almighty He commanded all of us, the whole nation. First, He said, you know, there should be no whoredom among the daughters of Zion, right? Which means that eliminates you sleeping around. That eliminates the possibility of you thriving and being blessed if you are just sleeping around with me. Your desire should be to sleep with your husband, right? But see, what's going on today is that a lot of women, they want a particular man, but the type of men that they want are not around. And when I say the type of men that they want, most women want, you know, they want that fairy tale love, that Disney love, that, you know what I'm saying? The things that are make-believe situation, right? That make-believe situation. And it's like, you know, very few women actually even get that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those men are being taken because there are not a lot of men, especially black men, as it is. These men are being taken quick, right? So it's like they feel as if they're left to choose among a pool of men that they don't even desire and want. So when they get into the courting and dating stage with a man, they already know, like, nah, this man is not somebody. Hopefully that's better.
Here's what the situation is today. We're going to keep it honest. Relationships today are not about love and building together. Relationships today, and I want an honest woman or some honest women really to chime in, even if it's not you that I'm referring to, if you know someone like that, because what we got to do is we got to show people really what's going on in the world today, because ladies, guys are really naive. You know, guys are really naive. A guy might think, like we gave two examples of femininity earlier. Let me do that again to explain what I'm talking about. A woman can know that your pockets are fatter than somebody else's, right? And when she gets the opportunity, if she thinks that she's built in the way that you might like, if she's wearing the right makeup, if she's beautiful that she thinks that you might think that she is,
Right.
she can come over and stroke his shoulder, say some nice words, you know what I'm saying, and act like she's really into you. But what she really want to be into is your pockets. Do you see what I'm saying? Because she already know that this man is really feeling her. So if they should get into a situation where they're becoming closer, her goal, and I'm saying this is a lot of women, not all women. Her goal is to see what you're willing to do for her in order to be in a relationship with her. So in other words, it's about monetary gain. It's not about love and affection and wanting to live your life out with somebody in most cases these days. And I think honest women, will tell you, because they're women are exposing other women by the thousands today. You can get on social media and see it, because a lot of women who fell for the so-called feminist movement, who was talking about they didn't need a man, now they're regretting it. Now a whole lot of women are regretting walking out on their marriages, walking out on the relationship that they actually did have, where a man was doing something for them, but those men were boring to those women after a while, because a woman got used to pretty much running the show.
They got that desire for that fairy tale
You,
love.
you see what I'm
You know what I
saying?
mean?
And social media has a whole bunch of lies on there, to where it looks like this couple is doing really good, or this woman is doing so good because this man is providing for this woman. So now it's like all these women wants a provider. That's that main question. Are you a provider? You see them on all these different shows and talking about they want a man who's a provider. But I have to look in the screen and ask these women who feel that way, where do you get that from? Where did you get that a man, in order to date you, has to be or should be a provider for you, supporting your lifestyle? I can show you where a man's provision should be for his wife and his family. But this boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, that's even an abomination to the Almighty Yah, because of the things that are being done. So why would the Almighty want to bless abominations? And a man would be an absolute fool. And fellas, you're a fool if you are here paying for somebody else's lifestyle just to be with them. That shows that you're a weak man. Now, I'm not just trying to clown on men or anything, but don't allow women to set a standard that's unrealistic and unreal. And I know it got started by some of these guys who are really out there balling, making a bunch of money. So they throwing money at women, trying to make themselves look good. And a lot of women are feeding off of that and feeling like, okay, they want that lifestyle. They want that luxury. See, a regular 9 to 5 guy today, he's considered to be boring. You know that? He's considered to be boring because
Is it because he lacks resources?
because he lacks resource. Because the average salary, for the most part around here, is like, I believe, about $42,000 or a little bit more. That's just the average salary. But when you have people out here just hustling, they driving these nice, expensive vehicles and whatnot, and however they're making their money, they're making their money. But that's not the average guy. So you've got about 80% of women wanting 10% of the men. So you have a few men that's getting whatever woman that he wants based on his resources. But a lot of women don't realize that the more resources that a man has, probably the more women he's going to have as well.
That's true.
Now, I'm not justifying it,
And
but that
even
just happened to
then,
be a fact.
even then, women wouldn't accept polygamy of a man that's fully capable of taking care of all his women, his wives. And I tell women, they say, "Mike's job." So
Okay, take that one.
yeah,
We pull this one over. You leave that one.
yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So even in that situation, they still wouldn't submit to the laws of the Most High, which prohibits men that's capable of taking care of more than one woman. He can do so, right? Even then, they wouldn't accept that because of the modern mindset. right? But if you got all these women that want these 10% men, well, y'all got to submit yourself and humble yourself to that man, right? Or go to the average man. But when you go to the average man, you still got to submit to him, right? And the message is not of men, all of the information that we give on this podcast is really from the Most High. It's from the Bible, it's from the scriptures, the
There
holy
you go.
scriptures.
And so anytime I get on this podcast, I'm always asking them, just like I do when I'm at the sanctuary, to give me the words that I might speak, that the people might hear, learn, and fear, and be turned back to him. So the bottom line is we are a people that's out of order, but then we wonder why we go through so much trauma and so much heartache. We wonder why there are more baby mothers than there are actually husbands and wives. But believe it or not, today a woman will tell you in a lot of cases, let me put it that way, that they would much rather be a baby's mother than a man's wife.
Yeah, especially these
They
women.
would, what kind of nonsense?
These 2000
does that-
babies, for sure.
what- They would, women will literally, by the bunches, will say they would rather be a baby's mother and raise a baby by herself than to submit herself to a man that's being her husband. See, and here's where the problem lies. That's going to save a lot of guys grief anyway. A modern-minded man don't even really understand. A modern-minded woman do not understand. Again, tradition came down by way of the law. It's when the Almighty let a man know that he is supposed to, like when that woman leaves her father's house, that husband is to take over. He's supposed to take care of her food, her shelter, her clothing and things. You see what I'm saying? Her husband, not her boyfriend. Not her boyfriend. Where in the scriptures does the Almighty ever say, go out and get you a boyfriend or a girlfriend and y'all live together, make some babies, and don't worry about getting married and all that? The things that people are doing today is a death sentence by the Almighty. But a lot of people, again, because of the modern mindset, if that's what a person came up with for generations, if that's all they ever seen,
Yes, sir.
is that modern mindset. If they never knew anything about the Almighty's laws and the order that the Almighty have pertaining to marriage, then we're going to fumble the ball. We're going to mess up. And people, once they learn better, because habits are hard to break, they don't want to mess up and say, well, hey, things just cool right now the way they are. Why do we need to get married? Or I don't want a wife. I'm so used to like being out here when I break up with her, or I can go to this one, I can go to that one, or I can just have them all together, whatever I want. Why do I want to get married? Because that's strange to me. I never knew about that. So the Almighty, he'll understand. Ain't that what a lot of people say? He'll understand. But the Almighty is definitely not a respecter of judgment, respecter of persons when it comes to judgment. He already set the boundaries. He already set the guidelines. He said, either you walking with me or you're walking against me. And if you're walking against me, shame on you.
Yes, sir.
He said, can two walk together unless they be agreed?
And we just need to get an agreement.
We're walking against the ways of our Creator. We don't understand that we're shortening our lives. So, and here's what bothers me, because in this country, because of the system, because of the politics, the system has been so lenient on women, but the whole mainstay was to get the men out of the house. That way the government would be supporting the women, so the women would have to follow the guidelines of the government. So she ain't your woman. Yeah, there you go. So she ain't your woman. She belongs to the government.
Right.
Because the government is supporting them with housing, with food, with shelter. Do you see what I'm saying?
True.
But that's to get the man up out of the house. And again, that started even with the welfare system.
Yes, sir.
So our women are falling, I don't want to say victim, because in most cases, a lot of them know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so they're aiding in the process of eliminating the man.
I think they know what they're doing. I just don't truly think they understood the effects of what they're doing.
You might be right
You know
with
what I
that.
mean?
I agree with
Because
I agree with
men
that.
are more in tune with survival instincts than women because of the conditions that we have to face every day. So
It's
they
deep.
don't truly understand it, you know.
Like I said, one of the things that we never want to do, we talked about a few things about why women won't accept accountability, but men, again, never, ever, never, ever move in with a woman.
Yeah.
How can you be the head of a house and you're in somebody else's place? How can she respect you to be the head of the house when the place that you're staying is in her name? She pays the rent and you just there. And then on top of that, have your own car. Don't move into her place and then want to drive her car. Then you drop her off at work and then you take the car. And you can't even pick her up on time from work or whatever because you out doing some foolery.
Right.
You know?
In other words, be self-reliant. Be a man. Yeah.
Speak on that.
Yeah.
Speak on that.
Yeah. I was
Because a lot of times young folks have a different perspective than older men. Because older men know you got to go out there, you got to handle your business.
you gotta handle your business, and that's what I'm learning. I wasn't always aware of that. Like, but me seeing the men that's out here, me looking at my father, who was a great example in my life, and just comparing myself to my situation and what other men got going on, I said to myself, like, nah. And I've never been the type to rely on anything. I've never had to rely on food stamps, none of these things. But a lot of people, a lot of young men, because they were raised with their mother, by their mothers, they're taught to rely on these various institutions for help, government assistance, all of these different things, and they get complacent with sitting down. We as men, we are commanded to work. You know what I'm saying? To work to sweat your brow, and that's how you can avoid never moving in with a woman. Having your own car, being self-reliant, and when you get into a relationship, your woman will have more respect. You know what I mean? More respect and honor because she sees that I have a man that's a provider that's strong, that already was established before I came into this situation. He's able to even take care of me if need be, and you will get the respect of that woman. You know what I'm saying? It'll be easier for you to shape and hold that relationship into a long-term relationship if you're about your business. Yes, sir.
There might be some cases to where, every now and again, a situation might occur to where a man needs some financial assistance.
yeah.
He might need to go down there and get some food stamps or whatever. As long as he's making sure he's doing what he can do to make sure that he's providing for his family. But a man should never just get hooked on that. He needs to go out and make sure that he's getting his own because he has to actually be self-reliant. And I'm going to tell you, working these 9-to-5 jobs, we can't even really call that being self-reliant. We got to have our own businesses to where we're making our own incomes and doing whatever it is that we do, whether it's making investments or whatever it is that we're doing, because anytime that we have what we call a job here, working for somebody else,
Check to check.
then we're going to be paycheck to paycheck.
They got it, I truly believe they got it. They got a system to where they've created that condition for us, whether we know it or not. And it doesn't matter if you make 20 an hour, 10 an hour, 50 an hour, 100 an hour. If you not filing for the most part for these systems and these corporations that's out here, they got it down to a science. They know that you're gonna keep coming back, which is what Almighty tells us, to build our own houses, plant our own vineyards, and that's just, symbolically saying, create your own businesses, create situations to where we as men can empower one another financially. Best of our ability, of course.
Yeah, that would be a blessing, but I tell you, even in our communities, it's very hard, and I tell you why, because you have people who look just like you and me who will not support our businesses.
Yes,
you can get a foreigner to come in this country, set up a shop right in the black community, and the black community will fully support that store. When it comes to hair care products and wigs and weaves and all kinds of facial type stuff and whatnot. People can move to this country tomorrow and in a year be better off than a black family or black individuals that's been here for the entire time. Because they'll run there. They will flock there to support those businesses, but they will not support their brother. They will not support their sister.
Yeah.
And I don't get that. Another thing, you don't want to move in with a woman. You don't want to drive her car. And you sure don't want to be asking her for money. Because then she's going to really be looking at you like you're really weak. Now, they might do it for a minute because you might be providing something that they like for a short term, if you know what I mean. But that ain't cool. If a man it makes a man look, in my opinion, extremely weak, and he don't have any leverage whatsoever if he's live with her, driving her car, and asking her for money. Ladies, if you're watching, respond to what I just said, please. Respond to that. I got to tell a man, have your own.
Yeah.
You got to have your own. Other than that, you're making yourself look bad. Now, I understand.
Emasculating yourself.
Yeah, I understand. Exactly. See, and here's the thing. We don't like it when women emasculate us.
True that.
But when we do things like that, we don't realize, and I'm glad you said that, we don't realize, and we should realize, that's self-emasculating.
Yes, sir.
We should be embarrassed or feel away. And again, I can understand from time to time an individual may need some help.
Oh yeah.
But we don't want that to be a
stuck
habit.
there. Yeah, you don't want to be stuck there.
And then if you do borrow something, pay it back right away.
Yes, sir. And that's how
Right away.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Matter of fact, put a little something on it. Not
All the time. Man, just for the respect. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just put something on. I'm not trying to say pay it usually, but put something on top. Just say, well, I really appreciated
There it
that.
is. Yes, sir.
You helped me at a time when I was in real need.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you're just showing your appreciation.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be a requirement to put some usury on it, but just do that out of the goodness of your heart just to show that appreciation.
Absolutely. Good point.
And never, ever beg a woman for anything if you're a man. Because the moment you beg her for anything, you are going to immediately lose respect. Again, women, if you're out there, type something in. Type something in.
Oh yeah, Chanel, she tapping in with us, Queen. She said that's right. In regards to the self-emasculating point you made.
Oh man, see, a lot of times, and again, when I talk about women having father issues, ladies, understand that men have those same issues that you have because the father was not there to create that balance. I know not only that, like when we talk about women have daddy issues. Men have those same issues. So I don't want anybody to think that that's just regulated to the females. I didn't have my biological father in my life the way that I wish that I had. So I had to realize the effects that it was having on me. So I sought out other men to teach me certain things to help me grow into my manhood. That was imperative for me. So even in the military, and even though I was at a certain age and I was young when I went into the Army decades ago, whatnot, when I come out, just because I've been to the Army, that didn't make me a man. I might have thought so at that particular time. But when I started understanding and doing things in a way that a man should be doing them, then I understood at that time what it was like to really be growing into my manhood. And I have to be honest with you, I started learning that the House of Israel.
Yeah.
I literally started learning that at the House of Israel after my military days.
I believe you. Yeah.
Sitting up under those Moray Elisha, Moray Dan, Elder Ezekiel, just the whole, remember Elder Yoel from back in the day?
Yes, sir.
Not the younger Yoel.
I know you're talking about.
So, yeah, all the tirade. Mm-hmm. That made a huge difference in my life. A huge difference. And then when I can verify and back up things with the scriptures to see what the Almighty require of his men.
You know you wasn't alignment.
Either we're walking with him or we're walking against him. And for so many years, as men and women, when we walk against the Creator, we're saying we don't like to breathe, especially when we know better. Because that's what it comes down to. Actions. The Almighty is a man of action. He don't want a bunch of false lip service from us. Mm-hmm. We tell people that they can show us better than they can tell us. So the Almighty requires the same thing from us.
Yes, sir.
We need to show him versus giving lip service and not keep our word. Y'all, you get me up out of this, I'm going to do that for you. And then we don't keep our word.
Yeah, Solomon said a man, a fool is known by a multitude of words. Queen asked, does a woman who grew up without a father naturally have daddy issues?
In most cases, it's going to be that way. In most cases, it's going to be very, very rare if it's not that way. But again, I also said the males in that household are going to also have those issues. And it's because that balance is not there. And see, when you have a mother and a father in the same household raising a child or children, and especially when things are in harmony, then the child or the children get to see that balance that's there. Like mom might be the nurturer, dad, he's the provider and he's the disciplinarian and whatnot. And there's a balance that that the children can grow up with and see, and they can feel the love. You see what I'm saying? Especially when the father is talking to the son, he's talking to the daughters. He's trying to put things in a way to where they can understand them. It makes a huge difference versus when they don't have it. If a male child don't have that father in the house, he's going to suffer. If that daughter don't have that father in there, see, here's the thing: that father figure is the first man that she's gonna love.
That's right.
So based on the way he deals with his daughter, that's how she's going to determine how she loves the man. And when she don't have that, she might go out in the streets looking for something that she didn't get in the home. But she's going to be looking for the wrong thing, the wrong type of love. So men and women, if there's a mother missing, if there's a father missing for whatever reason, it could be even because of a loss of life or something, God forbid. But if they're missing something, sure, it could be made up in other ways, but it won't quite be the same. It won't be the same. So what we have to do is we have to get people on the path of righteousness, trying to do what's right in the sight of the Almighty. If not even for yourself, which it should be for self, but if you already have children, the children have to see, because that's going to be our legacy. And we need to pave the way for them. We need to set a trail that they can walk, and that trail is going to take them in the right path. You see, that's what we have to do. But what else we got up here on the board? Okay. Say, does a woman does a woman who grew up without a father naturally have daddy issues? Let's just say that some may do better than others, but there's going to be some void spaces there. Certain things
Certain lessons they may have missed.
exactly, because that's why the Almighty gave us two parents, because each parent has something that they need to fulfill within those children. And the whole reason behind having children is to procreate, and so that we can keep our legacy going and keep populating the world. See, every day so many people die, but guess what? So many people are being born as well. So it's just really imperative that we get on board and be the way that we need to be as servants of the Most High God.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody. The Almighty, He created. He's the creator of good and evil. So if a person doesn't have one parent or both parents, this situation was of the Most High. This was His intention, but the Almighty still holds us accountable to the laws. The Almighty is always, He said, whosoever lends to the poor, Yahweh will repay back. You know what I'm saying? That you give a favor from the Almighty for lending to the poor. So in situations like that, like what I said about being self-reliant, people that are, they grew up fatherless or didn't have certain support that they should have. Those what these systems are supposed to be for. Our people may have fallen on hard times. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help sometimes. Nobody's going to be completely 100% relying on themselves all the time. If that was the case, women wouldn't even exist. We wouldn't have help needs, right? Everybody's going to fall short, but everything is based on your heart and your desire. You may have a person, actually one of my good friends, who he didn't grow up with his father, but he's one of the most masculine men I know. You know, everything is based on, and my father, a lot of people, you met my father, you know how he is, right? He didn't necessarily have his father in his life either, but everything is based on your heart. You know what I mean? If you desire to be great, you will become great. And to the women out there that have daddy issues, or whoever had me, the men out there, or if you have mother issues or whatever, wherever you were lacking at, you can still become great. You know what I'm saying? You just have to put the work in. You may have to put in more work, but the Almighty's going to give you the strength to do it. You know, so praise God. Do men who have daddy issues get over it faster than women who have it? Like, do they learn how to function without it better than women?
Well, I'm gonna do something for you today, Queen. I'm gonna use myself as an example to answer your question. And mind you, I am not saying anything to poop on my father,
Yes, sir.
because I had to learn to be a better man in light and in spite of what I did or didn't have.
Yes.
As a young man, I had to grow up really early. I graduated from high school at an early age. I wasn't 18. I joined the military at 17. My father had to sign for me. I didn't have a good relationship with my father, even though he was in the house back then. Fathers did certain things, that a lot of other fathers did. And I come from Little Stock. I was about 106 pounds when I graduated from high school, right? So I went into the Army. Now, things could have been better, and maybe I had not went into the Army, but the things I saw, I knew as a young person, certain things just weren't right. And so I've always told myself that when I had children, and I know that's the way that a lot of children probably think when they grew up seeing a bunch of these abnormalities that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna know, I can't be like that. I'll never be like that. But then some people grew up to be just like that, and others grew up to be the opposite. Matter of fact, I gave an example, probably on the last podcast when we talked about it. Say you got two brothers. They came from the same biological father. And then say one of the brothers, I won't say which one, end up getting in trouble with the law as they was growing up. And so they interviewed both brothers, right? And they said, well, how did you turn out like this? And one brother said, well, if you knew my father did, you'd understand. And say they interviewed the other brother. But the other brother they interviewed say the same thing. Well, if you knew my father, then you'd understand. So one of the brothers grew up to be just like his father, but the other brother grew up just to be the opposite of what his father was. But their explanation was, if you knew my father, you'd understand why I turned out this way.
Yeah.
Because one didn't want no parts of something that was abnormal. Because we have certain things within us that will tell us when something is not right.
So hard.
It don't feel right. Yeah. But then some people will get used to the things that are not right and they will accept it. But I guarantee you later in life, it will affect you, whether you are a male or a woman. So let me move on with my story here. Myself, and to this day, I left home when I was 17 years old into the military. I'll be 66 next month. Not having my father in my life still affects me to this very day.
Yes, sir.
It still has a serious effect on me. And a lot of times oppress things, right? So recently I had to start talking to somebody about just different issues. Because I want to make sure that I'm not putting anything out that's going to be bad for my children. Because again, I still have a 15 and a 16-year-old at home. You see what I'm saying? My older children, like I say, they 35. Well, one getting ready to be 35, then 37. The one is 39, getting ready to be 40, and then my one is 43. Next month she'll be 44. So things stick with us for a very long time. And like I say, back then, boys were raised quite differently than girls. Boys were taught, you better not cry. You hold this in. You be that way. Well, see, males and females both have emotions.
That's right.
So when you hold certain things in for so long,
They
they're
eat at
going
you.
to manifest. They're
Yeah.
going to manifest and they're going to come back eventually. But when they actually do come back, they're going to come back to you probably at the age that you were. So you might be grown and old. But when you had those certain traumas that we tend to go through, when they revisit you, it's going to be like you're that same age when you experienced it. So it's going to affect you in the way that it would have affected you at that particular time. So when a person is really working on themselves and they're trying to get themselves together, they got some work to do. And that's how you can tell when somebody has not put the work in. Because when you talk about things, certain things, it's going to be painful. And that's the pain and the trauma that we inflict on our children. So a wise individual who has children, if he loves his children, you want to stay far away from that, because I noticed that as the generations change, things tend to get more watered down. Now that can be good or it can be bad. And let me give an example. The way things is today. Now, I'm not saying anything to offend anybody. I'm just going to speak as an old man. When I see these guys walking around in skinny jeans,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Something tight and form fitting out. What the? Let's just say it ain't for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ain't for
And I bet not catch my son just walking around in something that's hugging him, looking like he gonna be the first male to get a yeast infection or something.
word. Yeah.
You see, when you go out because you're a protector, you should have something on that's loose fitting. That way, if you need to move, you see, if you need to bring them legs up or do whatever it is you need to do, you're not going to have any restrictions. Can you imagine David, King David, going out with his military and everybody had on skinny jeans? How was that going to work?
Oh man, that'd be sick.
How was that
Oh,
going to
man.
work?
Word.
You see, so there's certain things I believe that a man should never leave his house wearing slides. Again, that's just me. Because when you walk out, you need to have, we don't go out looking for problems, but you need to have some neoprene. You need to have something good up under your feet. So when you're out there, that should you have to protect or defend your family or your loved one or even yourself, you're not going to come up with no excuse, well, my slide came off and then I end up falling. No, there's certain things that a man should always keep right.
Absolutely.
And the first thing he needs to keep right is his mental. He got to keep that mind right. So any pollution in there, if it's there, that pollution gonna spill over to his family. It's gonna spill over to his woman that he's with. It's gonna spill over to anybody that he's with. And so he's gonna start tainting people. And with that tainting, they're either gonna want to move away from him, or they're going to tell him about it. But then if he's not going to be accountable, he's not going to want to hear it. So as men and supposed to be the future leaders of our households, we say iron sharpen iron. So we have to be willing to listen
Oh yeah.
so that we can self-correct.
That's the key.
But in listening, we gonna educate one another in love. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then
They
that
gotta be done out
person,
of love.
when that person understands that it's coming by way of love, then they should want to self-correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I also tell women that if they were in past relationships and that relationship didn't turn out the way that they hoped it would, which was going to lead to a marriage or something, if they had the opportunity to go back and just speak with that man that she was involved with and just say, hey, look, just be really honest with me because I'm trying to work on self and be a better version of me. Can you tell me what some of the issues were that you actually had with me? But she got to be sincere and she got to want to hear those answers, because you can't just put yourself on a person however you put yourself on them and say you were good, because if somebody didn't like that, then it wasn't good for them. You see. So, but yeah, it definitely takes a while. It depends on the individual. But also, just this past week, I talked to somebody else, and it's been several years. I'll just leave it at that. It's been several years. So men hold on to things as well. But we have to learn how, long as we're holding on to them, we still have to learn how to work around them or work through them until they're fully released. But we have to acknowledge what our triggers are. And before this new era, the word triggers, I'm like, they're coming up with all this newfangled stuff. But now I'm understanding
Wow.
and I'm understanding because, like I say, I've had to start talking to somebody about some other situations from back in my military days and whatnot. It brings up some trauma. And so I've been talking to some people myself. Now, I don't consider myself to be a weak man, but being an older man and having a younger psychologist and all of this type of stuff, talking to them, it kind of feels really weird and uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
But that's strong. You still putting
But
yourself
but
in a
I'm
position
but
to
I'm
do
doing
that.
it. Yeah,
That's good.
I'm doing it on a regular basis because I need to be a better version of me and for my loved ones. You see what I'm saying? So I hope that answered your question somewhat, but let's and just drop any questions in if you have them while we going over some things, and also tell me if you agree or disagree with anything that you're hearing here, because our thing here is to put out the best possible information that we can put out. It's going to be a benefit for the Most High's people, because it's not about just getting up here saying anything. Our thing is that we want to help correct bad behavior, and we can only do that by exposing certain things that people may or may not be aware of, and it's up to the individuals to make the appropriate changes.
Yes, sir.
And see, the thing is, if we say we want the best success for ourselves and for our loved ones, if we find out something that we could be doing to make a situation better, but we don't implement the thing to make the changes, then why do we get the information in the first place?
Good point.
Now, let's see here. What else we got? When I said never, ever, ever beg a woman for anything, not sex, not anything, because if you do, then she'll start to feel that she has the power over you and become even more difficult to you because you gave her that power. That's the start of the end. You never, as a man, have your own. In the beginning of a relationship, if a woman don't want to be right in the way that you need her to be right, if she's not going to accept accountability, then dismiss her at the very beginning. And ladies, likewise with the men, if a man is coming into your life and you can see he's full of bull at the beginning, don't be going on that thing where he looked good and all these little different reasons that people get together for today. Dismiss that relationship. Dismiss it.
A lot of it is a test.
A lot of it is a test, and if you know what's in the book, there's no reason you should fail an open book test.
That's right.
So we're going to give you the truth here. The thing is, we hope the people are going to be strong enough to accept the truth. And again, I got to say this. In any podcast that we do, and ladies, tell me if this makes sense or not. The only people who will get offended, should they get offended, are people that are doing some of the things that we're talking about that's not right. Because if certain individuals that are not guilty of that this is just information. You're going to take that information in, you're going to put it back there in the computer box for a later time or something, but it's not going to affect you because it's not about you. But I do notice that when I say something, certain people it might strike a chord with because they're guilty of that thing. And nobody wants to be looked at like they're low value. But the bottom line is when you recognize something, then make a change so you can become a greater value. And that value should be in the eyes of the Almighty, not value in the sight of man.
And this is funny how the Almighty have given us the power to self-correct. And most things in nature have the power to self-correct. But we definitely as a people have to tap into more self-correction. The more self-correction we make, the better outcomes we'll have for ourselves, for our loved ones, and our families.
Speaking about families, I don't know what we're going to do because, again, people are literally walking away from relationships. Men are saying, ladies, and this is true, they said the juice just ain't worth the squeeze. They put it that way for real because there's so much manipulation going on even today with men and women. So I'm not putting that right there just straight on the women. Women know that women can be deceptive, and men know that men can be deceptive as well. So we have to be really diligent in paying attention to the people that we encounter, especially if they're trying to press upon you. You know, if a man is coming to you as a woman and he's trying to see what's going on with you, if you're interested, just be honest, and vice versa. Just be honest to see what's going on. But if you go into a situation and your intentions aren't good, then when you get pooped on, then you're going to deserve it, both parties, because it wasn't something that was going to be healthy in the first place. I keep trying to say, wait, don't rush into situations just because this person is cute or you think that person can move in a certain way that you might appreciate. You're going too far when you even think like that. Quit lusting and just desire to find somebody that you're compatible with or that you believe to be compatible with, and then you can start taking it from there. But the best thing to do is take some time. That way you get a chance to see a person when they're not quite at their best, to see if it's something that you can deal with. And they can see you not at your best. And they can see or determine if that's something that they're willing to deal with. Because too many people have excuses and then we mask a lot of things. And like I say, because most people today have a modern mindset, most people are going to be thinking wickedly. Hear what I said? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
yeah.
So speak to the younger folk on it. I'm saying because most people today have a modern mindset, most people are going to be thinking wickedly. Again, I said most, not all.
Abnormal.
Most people are going to think with bad intentions.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, you have to be very careful. Have to be very careful. And those that know better will do better. If you know better and you still not doing better, shame on you. You know. But as you said, you know, and I personally believe people should stay within their tribe. And when I say stay within your tribe, try to find somebody that's most compatible with the way you live your life. Do not try to find anybody that lives completely opposite than you, because that's only going to go so far. Unless you're a person that lives a wicked lifestyle and wants somebody better, you know. But stay within your tribe and be careful because you will get hurt out here. Praise God.
Let me say something, just show you how sometimes people really have to be aware. You just said something unless a person is living a wicked lifestyle. Sometimes a person might be living a wicked lifestyle and they know they are, but then there are times when a person might be living a wicked lifestyle and they're not know. I'm gonna give you an example, and then you tell me if they know or if they don't know. And this is gonna tell you. And this is why I say when you approach a person, especially when a man is approaching a woman, and I've learned this because men and women are completely different, right? We even communicate differently. So if you're talking to what they like to call a single mother, right? And say this mother, of course, she have a child or children. And a man is coming into her life in the way of where he's trying to get to know her. And it's her
Single mom, and he's trying to get to know
and
her.
he's trying to get to know her. And anytime when she talks because she has a vendetta or something, or she's holding a grudge, or she's not pleased with her baby's father, that anytime she refers to the child, she always refers to it as my child, not their child or not our child, but if she always used the term my child when she's talking, and she said in a strong way, we was coming over trying to get my child, and what is it? Let me tell you what that would tell me first of all, and then you respond to it. That would tell me to leave that woman alone before I even try to get started to know her, because that shows a lot about her character. Because you have to pay attention not only to what a person says, but how they say it. And I tell anybody in life, it's not what you say, it's how you say, because you should be able to say anything you need to say in order to get communication going and to have situations worked out, just to communicate, whether it be in a relationship or business or whatever, because everything is ultimately going to be a relationship anyway. But if a woman is talking to you, say like you're the person that's interested in her, she has a child. You don't see too much of the baby's father, but you know who the baby father is. And he seems to be like a decent guy to you, right? But then every time that she talks about the child, she always just talks about her child. What would that tell you?
Yes. That's a red flag.
And that's a red flag. Why? You're right. Your mic is not on. You're right. That's a red flag.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and back up what I'm saying with scripture.
There you go.
And Leviticus 21:7. This is speaking to the priests. We know the priests they was given the highest standard when they came to how they were supposed to deal with women. It says they shall not take a wife that is a whore. No man should really, or profane. But this is the key part. It says neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband. And nine times out of 10, when you have good men, another good man is going to look out for another good man, and he's going to be like, "Hey, look, if you're dealing with a woman that man dealt with a woman already, if he's any good of a man, have any good substance, he's going to let that man know, like, look, this is what you got to be dealing with." And if that was really a good man, most cases, if that woman have not done the work on it, and that's why you always have to look at the amount of time a woman has been out of a relationship, because that's going to determine if they really put in work in itself. Because once you get out of the relationship, there's a certain amount of time you have to put in yourself, because you're going to say, I don't want to go back and make the same mistakes I did in my last relationship. So I'm going to give myself some time alone to work on myself. Now, if you got a woman that just came out of a relationship, maybe even 2-3 months ago, that's not enough time to put in the work on yourself. You know, so to answer your question, it's a red flag, because if this woman has treated that man in that type of fashion to where she believes in her heart that this is my child, first of all, that's letting you know the type of woman. She's a woman that clings on to power. She likes to be the one in control, right? And we know how the Almighty feels about his children. Children are supposed to stay with their fathers. They're supposed to be under the influence of their fathers. So that's the key indicator to let you know what type of woman she's gonna be if you put a seed in her. And you better be forewarned. Better be warned.
Oh man, I like the way you pay attention. I do. Can you put a smile on my face? Cause see what we just did. We just circled back to remember. I said 5 reasons why women refuse to accept accountability. So when we were talking about number 4, that was when she's in survival mode. When I was talking about being considered to be low value because she's not making the best choices, and a woman knows she's not going to be the best value for a man if she's not being the way that she should be for whatever her reasons are. So when a man is talking to a woman, if he's interested in her, he needs to pay attention not only to what she says, because women like to talk, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, ladies. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
But you need to listen not only to what she's saying, but how she's saying it. She's going to tell you everything that you need to know. So when she's talking to him and she's not saying, well, he came over to pick up our child or something like that. He wanted to come and get my child. Wait a minute, did you just make that baby by yourself? Has he lost all right to the child now? It's just your child? You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times, they don't want to feel like they're not worthy, but they refuse. Sometimes males and females refuse to clean themselves up. And so if you don't clean yourself up before you go into the next relationship, you're still that same dirty individual because you haven't cleaned yourself up.
And that's what's going on a lot. That's a lot of what's going on out here, man.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of that is going on. And I guarantee you, any man that's experienced that, dealt with a woman that's been in relationships with men that were so called bad, you're going she's gonna be projecting that same type of situation that she was with that man upon you if she didn't work on herself.
And see, what did I say right here? When it comes to that woman that's like that, what they gonna do is they're gonna blame him or they're gonna replace him. So he's gonna be the one that always is the problem in the relationship. Not necessarily the actual case, but according to her, there's no foul in her. She's not going to accept any accountability. She's not going to accept any because she don't want to be devalued. So the things that she do that's out of order, it's going to be your fault. That everything's going to be your fault. If she cheats on you, it's going to be your fault because you should have been paying her more attention. But if you cheat on her, it's still your fault. And that's the nature of something. That's the nature of most women. Let me look in the screen when I say that right there. Like I say, I'm 66. I've been around a long time, been married a few times too. And I'm going to tell you what, I know I'm a better man. I'm a much better man than I was when I was younger. I know that because I put forth the effort to put forth my best all the time, regardless how someone else might perceive me. And I'm so blessed to understand that the Almighty knows my character. He knows what my intent is, period. See, and so when you get other people who are not honest with themselves, they're not going to be honest with somebody else. What I look like lying to myself. I'm a lie to myself, but I'm going to be honest to you. It don't work.
Praise God. That was some good points, and we like this podcast is just really it's about raising awareness, and we're trying to give people advice and counsel so that when they get out here, you know what to look for, know what to put up with, what not to put up with as a man.
Absolutely. Let's see what else we got here. See, the average man out here, and the average woman for the most part, is living from paycheck to paycheck. That means you go through life just like regular people. A lot of people don't have this money stashed to the side where they can do whatever it is that they want to do, whenever it is that they want to do it. A lot of times, a person might have an expectation, like a lot of men and a lot of women, especially that women, they might like to travel around, go see this and go do that. But if a woman is barely making any money herself, and she knows her man is, especially he's for the bills, he's not making a whole lot of money either, but he's doing the best he can, and he's using his provisions to make sure that his family is taken care of, or my family has, to make sure that his household is being taken care of. Then that woman shouldn't expect that man to be messing up bill money because he has to have some structure. He shouldn't be expected to mess up money that he needs to take care of his responsibilities if he's been a traditional man paying this and paying that and paying so, you know what I'm saying? To take a vacation for 3 or 4 days a week and then come back and now you don't know how you're going to pay the bills because now they got behind and everything is past due.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you know, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but it hurt.
How dare.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say, one good way that since the man is he's supposed to be the primary, you know what I mean, the primary breadwinner in the house. One of the ways that women can help men if they do want to do extracurricular activities is, you know, add on to what's already being provided to them, and use that money to say, hey, if we're going to go on a vacation, we got some money saved up. Let's go ahead and go on a vacation. Let's spend some quality time together. Let's go here. Let's go there. You know, that's one of the ways, because, you know, in most cases in a marriage and a relationship, they're going to automatically blame the male. You're boring. You don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to. Well, how about you help us get to that point, since I'm already providing everything for the house, the bills, the car notes, the insurance, the medical bills, the dental bills, all of these things, and making sure the school and so on and so forth. That's the great virtuous woman. The scripture says a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish woman plucks her house.
And what you're saying is so, man, that's beautiful. That's ideal. However, most women today are not trying to spend their money. That's the reason most women here in the United States when they're inquiring about a man, or a man is trying to get to know them, one of the first things that come out of their mouth is, "Are you a provider?" And again, let me look at the screen when I say this, fellas. Quit wasting your resources on somebody you just met, thinking that you have to spend all your resources just to get to know if you like this woman or not. Just to find out. That's just like a woman is nowadays. They're getting kind of ridiculous. And this is not all women, but quite a few say you got to spend about at least $300 on a first date. Rich people ain't even doing that. They wise enough to know better. What's wrong with a coffee date? We going out to the park or whatever to see if we even like each other. Why am I going to wine and dine somebody who acts like like a snob and some uppity person just to get to know them? Well, see, myself, like I say, I can read a person's energy. If I'm the type of person, I pull up and, I'm not in that situation at this time because I am a married man. But the bottom line is for young guys who really don't know, even some of the older guys, if you come up like a lot of times women want to impose new standards on somebody that they want to impose the new standard on somebody for the first time that they've never required. Like, are you going to get out the car and come around here and open up my car door for me or something? Hell, for your butt always just been climbing in the car. Ain't nobody, he can reach over and open up the door on the inside. But they got so much foolery going around on the internet right now, man. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people sabotage a relationship before they even get started because they want to try to put themselves in a position where they think that they're the prize in the relationship. And so a man has to actually win them. He's got to wine and dine and spend some money just to try to get. Guys, if you do that, you're a fool. A fool is a very unwise or a silly individual. You can take a woman if she's a good woman, you can go to a place. Matter of fact, why would you take a person to a club or a place that's going to be loud where you can't talk or anything, especially on the first date? So when you're actually going out there because you want to try to get to know this person, so you want to be able to have conversations. If it's summertime, a nice place to go would be for a night, maybe a nice walk through the park. You see what I'm saying? To where y'all can or even you get on bikes or something and just go to a place to where you're in close quarters, to where it's not a noisy area, to where you can communicate. Maybe you ride a little distance or something, pull it over with your bicycles, go sit down at a little table that's secluded in the spot and just get to know each other. Have some water, some juices with you, whatever. Sit down and talk. Find out what a person wants out of life. Find out what they think that they might want to be doing in years to come. The person just have to understand what it is that they want and communicate it. What do you think about that instead of taking somebody out spending a bunch of dollars?
Yeah. On the first date, a quiet place where you can have some face-to-face interaction, maybe y'all on the walk or something of that nature. But taking her to the club on the first date is probably the best idea.
Yeah, because remember the whole thing is to get to know that person, to find out if you even really want to get involved with that person. Who knows, that person may not even really want to be involved with you. Because a lot of times, at first glance, after you've already met them and you set up a date, they see you again, they act like so. I'm gonna tell you, watch out for those women, especially after you get married. That and I'll tell single guys right now, once they get married, things gonna change. Y'all might be fooling around a lot before you get married, but after that, you got to watch out for things. You don't want if a lot of times you're gonna find out, fellas, you're gonna find out some things the hard way. So what I want to tell you is just pay attention. Ladies, also pay attention to the person that you're dealing with. If you're actually paying attention, you're going to start to feel that person's energy, because everybody projects a certain type of energy. You can tell when that energy is positive energy, and you'll definitely be able to tell when it's negative energy. Guys, you will also be able to tell, ladies, listen to what I'm telling the guys. You will also be able to tell right away when a woman is disrespecting you, or saying emasculating things to you. Ladies, that's not a good idea if you're trying to build something. It's a difference, also, ladies, between disagreeing with someone and being disagreeable. You don't want to be the type of individual that's going to be just disagreeable, because you'll have your guards up, and that would mean that that guy is not really going to be trying to penetrate them walls. Okay. So we have to just go into relationships honestly. We got to know what it is that we want. We have to know how to communicate, period. We got to learn to listen. That's men and women. We have to learn when to speak and how to speak to one another. See, again, I'm saying these things because we came up again with a whole lot of abnormalities that we call normal, that's actually abnormal behaviors. And it's not going to work with everybody. I know everybody don't grow at the same time in the same way. But when a person grows and he's growing away from all that immaturity because he's growing or she's growing towards their maturity more, then that immaturity is not going to be accepted, especially when an individual is already working on themselves. They're going to be expecting you, and you should be wanting to work on yourself so you'll become more compatible, right? So I hope some things were said today that provoked thought.
Yeah, another comment. Queen said a lot of women just want expensive, fancy dates to show it off on social media.
You ain't never lied about that. You're 100% right. And that's also say, like, and I tell guys, if a woman's really into you, she'll let you know she's into you. She's not going to require a very expensive ring. She's not going to say she need to have a $20,000 wedding ring. Matter of fact, if she requires something like that, run. Because she want that ring, because she's going to be planning on not being with you a whole long time anyway. And that ring, she's going to be looking at that as sort of an investment, so she actually has some more cash behind her. So there's a lot of slickness going on. And ladies, I'm only going to be telling the truth, and this does not apply to all, but in these days here, especially that we're dealing with today, the vast majority of women in this country is off the chain. So it's very slim pickings. Matter of fact, ladies, also do yourself a favor just to back up what I'm saying. Go online and you'll find a bunch of women that are talking about how horrible other women just really are. You'll find some to say they used to be that same way, but they had to make a change. You'll see some women on there who used to deal with men, but they left men alone and thought they'd be better off with a woman. But you'll see those women who complain about how horrible the women are. Now, again, my disclaimer is, again, I'm not talking about all women, but I am talking about most, because most people are going to be corrupt. We just have to be honest with ourselves. And certain people are still going to have a certain amount of corruptness in them, in us, should I say, but we're working to constantly be better.
Yes, sir.
So you want to finish it up with any final thoughts?
Man, just everybody just take your time, be patient with yourself, get to know yourself first before you start inviting anybody into your life. Have a game plan, come in with a game plan, a long-term game plan, right? But yeah, just be aware, take your time, and pray. Pray. If it is a real man, this is Elder Villa. He knows what you need or what you deserve, and that takes getting to know each other. No, that's Elder. Yeah. Okay. She's just making a statement. Okay. If it is a real man, he knows what you need or what you deserve.
Great job.
And that takes getting to know each other.
Great job. And then she has a beautiful spirit.
Yes. Great job.
Great job. Thank you for the input, sister. Thank you so much. So, if you have any future questions, like during the podcast when we are talking, even if it's off topic, but it's about relationships, please don't hesitate to go ahead and type something in, because we'd love to give you some feedback. We might not always tell you what you want to hear, but we're going to tell you what you need to hear. All right?
Praise the mighty Yah. Shalom, everybody.
Praise the Most
See y'all
High
next
Yah.
week. Tap in.